Welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host Johnny Rogers. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button, that way you never miss out on all things gaming. Plus, comment down below with what your favorite Pokemon game is. Now let's get to today's video of these scariest Pokemon Creepypastas Part 4. A critical hit. This creepypasta is based on a story called Ashamed and is written by an unknown author on the creepypasta wiki page for Pokemon. It begins with a boy waiting for his dad in the car, and while waiting he decided to play on his old Game Boy. While in the car he locked the doors and turned on the radio to avoid the silence while playing. His team was fairly well established except for this one Golduck that he had. Trying to level him up, he would keep him in his party but only use it on rare occasions. And while training for the Elite Four, he came across a shiny Persian Pokemon and excited to catch him, he knew that he would have to knock his HP down to just enough without letting it faint. To make that happen, he used his Golduck. However, to his shock, the Golduck ended up finishing off the Persian. He screamed at the Game Boy and couldn't believe that this Golduck just made him miss an opportunity to catch a shiny Pokemon. The next time he tried using the Golduck, it would miss every attack, and suddenly a text box appeared that read, "Golduck is ashamed." When this happened, the radio in the car went to static and a fog began to settle around the vehicle. And when the boy looked back at his Game Boy, he was now facing the Golduck. A loud blare of white noise filled the speakers as the Golduck attacked his sprite, causing his trainer to faint. The screen then went to black, and now every time that he turns on the game, the only message he gets is, "It was a critical hit. Come follow me." This creepypasta was written by an unknown author and it's quite long, so I'll do my best to summarize it for you. When Pokemon Red and Green were released in Japan around February of 1996, there was a strange peak in deaths for the 10 to 15-year-old age group. They were usually found dead by hanging themselves or jumping from tall buildings. Investigators believed it was linked to the Lavender Town Syndrome rumors, but upon inspecting the games, they soon found out that the kids playing the games were rather low, meaning that they hadn't even had time to reach Lavender Town before all these terrible things began happening. Upon further investigation, they discovered that a programmer for the company had committed suicide, and when they searched his apartment, things only got more creepy. There were crumpled up notes everywhere with the words "Do not enter," "Watch out," and "Come follow me" in bold. Before the investigators were eventually killed themselves after looking too deep into the game, they discovered that the programmer had placed a code in the tall grass before you meet Professor Oak. A decade later, when a retired officer reopened the file on the case, he attempted to find out just what happened. When you enter that tall grass, it ends up showing text from your deceased loved ones, filling your head with voices that repeat the saying, "Come follow me," forcing many to take their own lives in hopes of either rejoining their loved ones or perhaps just to end the voices in their head. Blue Tears. This next creepypasta is based on a story written by a user named I'm Dead. While exploring a yard sale, our protagonist finds a Pokemon Blue cartridge with the word Tears written on it. When he booted up the game, he chose the previous save to see where the owner had been at with the game. However, he was met with an odd text box that read, "I've been robbed of everything. My title is champion, my grandfather's respect, even my Pokemon are dead because of you. I won't stand for this. I will come find you." When playing through the game, the character Blue seemed to be on a mission for revenge. He watched as the character took control, traveling to Mount Silver, and when he reached his destination, he engaged in a fight with his rival. However, there were no Pokemon involved, just the trainers. The only option available was murder, and when he selected that, Blue ruthlessly killed his rival and then took his own life. Just like that, our protagonist's nose began to bleed, and the game shut itself off. The following day on the news, he saw a terrifying headline. It was the man he had purchased the game from. He had murdered his wife and then took his own life. The gamer couldn't believe it. Could it be the game that was doing this? He ends the story by saying, "I'm next. I don't know how much longer I have, nor do I know who will die at my hand. But you deserve to know this. Never play Blue Tears." A difficult task. This next creepypasta was also written by an unknown author and is about the demolition of the Pokemon Tower. Our protagonist in this story is one of the 20 workers who had been tasked with taking down the Pokemon Tower in place of a new radio station that was to be built. He was an average man who said that the last time he had been to Pokemon Tower was to lay his Golduck to rest. His Golduck had jumped out of its Pokeball and bumped into the wrong electrode, causing him to face an untimely demise. And as they were tearing down the tower, it also meant digging up each of the Pokemon's graves to move their caskets. And while the demolition was happening, he began to hear cries of lost Pokemon, and even swore he could see the ghosts of these long deceased Pokemon hovering behind each of the workers. He eventually decided to quit because he couldn't bear to continue tearing up these Pokemon's graves and stacking their bodies like garbage. They belonged to a trainer at one time. They had a life, and now here they were just disturbing their peaceful rest. Why? Because he needed the money? When the radio tower was finally built, he refused to listen to it and didn't want any part of what took place after he left. One day he ran into one of the workers who had stayed, and he looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. He kept saying that every time he listened to the radio, all he could hear was his lost Pokemon crying out to him. Apparently so did all of the other workers who had laid their Pokemon to rest there. If they listened late enough, they would hear the pain and protesting, the growling, the sobs, and the wails of their poor departed Pokemon's restless souls. He was happy he had left when he did, but for those who stayed, they were forever plagued by that difficult task. This final creepypasta was again written by an unknown author and is based on the story called Crushed. It's about a gamer who received the game Heart Gold for Christmas. They were so excited to start a new Pokemon game and decided to transfer over their Dratini named Ryu from the Soul Silver game. One day the gamer couldn't find Heart Gold anywhere, and when their dad came in from shoveling the driveway, he said, "Hey, did you lose this?" They eyed the small cartridge in his hand. The protagonist even asked their father if it had been damaged by the snow. Unfortunately, when their father was moving the car, he had ran over the game and found it in the tire tracks. They grabbed the game quickly and ran upstairs to their bedroom to boot it up to check on their beloved Pokemon. It started up normally, but something was different. The screen was now black and white, and while in the game, there were no NPCs anywhere in sight. All of their Pokemon seemed to have fainted, and their sprites looked horrible, almost as if the pixels had been twisted. Their Leafeon's leaves seemed to be dripping with a blackish liquid, and its eyes were just empty sockets. More importantly, they wanted to make sure that their Ryu was okay, and when checking on it, the Pokemon just said, "Ryu is crushed." Beginning to now cry, they pleaded with the game repeatedly, saying how sorry they were for letting this happen. And again, more text boxes appeared, "Ryu is cold," and then another saying, "You left us to die," and then another, "He crushed us," over and over and over. Those words over and over began to rapidly fill the screen. The screen began to flash. Black bars appeared almost as if this screen was in a widescreen mode. The black bars slowly closed in as the buildings in the game fell to the ground, and screams of Pokemon blared through their speakers. One last message from the Ryu appeared that just said, "How do you like being," and then nothing followed. Confused and upset, they threw their Game Boy aside, wiping their tears away. As they wiped their tears away, they stared at the ceiling. The gamer let out a scream that could have been heard by every house on the block. Written on the ceiling in bold letters was just the word crushed. And that has been the Scariest Pokemon Creepypastas Part 4. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button and comment down below with which one scared you the most. And if you happen to be new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the playlist on the screen for more videos like this one. From Top 10 Gaming, I'm Johnny Rogers, and until next time, take care.